Pandemic.
Oh,
Great
what's up,
to see you
man?
guys.
Hello, people.
Glad to have you
Hello,
back.
Andy.
I see you still all live in these rectangles.
It's
Wow.
it's season 2 of the Hollywood Squares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't moved. I've been sitting here since episode 1, whatever that was.
It was.
I'm really hungry.
It's with the vodka
And the hookers. Yeah.
and the hookers. Don't let them do all the blow. We're coming over too.
I was going to say that, like somehow I forgot about the food. Like you lose your appetite. No, I'm good, man. I got one vaccine, and I have another one coming up in about 2 weeks.
Cool.
So that's cool, and I'm happy to be back. It's great to see you guys. I'm glad everybody's well.
It's great to see you.
Cool.
Actually, you know what, Andy? I'm completely vaccinated, and I was actually going to ask you if you wanted me to do the show over there with you, but my day got completely kafizzled. So, whatever word that means. So we're working the medical. Yeah, yeah. Because you can't get COVID from blow. I know that. Because you can't smell anything.
Yeah, but you don't want to share the same, $100 bill or whatever.
You have $100 bill? Ugh.
I'm doing good. I'm hanging in there. Been working and just trying to stay safe like everybody.
Yeah.
Having a compromised health, missing an artery, and being a diabetic, I got to be extra careful than most people. But I'm doing good. And hanging in there. And by the way, Joey, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Joey.
Birthday was yesterday.
Happy birthday, Joey. You're a fellow Pisces. It was March 5th.
Oh, happy birthday.
So it was the 13th was your birthday? Yeah.
Now it all makes sense.
Yeah.
I think a lot of good people were born on the 13th. And, that's the problem with Pisces is there's a classical guitarist, famous guitarist named Pepe Romero, one of the Romero brothers. And he's like 85 years old now. And I did an interview with him about 2 years ago. And I'd been a fan. I had some of his records when I was, younger in the 70s. Got turned on to him. And anyway, I figured I'd read a little about him before I interviewed him. And I saw his birthday was March 8th. So I called him. And the first thing I said to him, I said, Pepe, it's great to talk to you. I've always been a big fan. I mean, this is a world-renowned classical guitarist. And I said, I discovered something about you, something we have in common. And he said, what's that? I said, we're both Pisces. And he's like, oh, that's great. And I said, you know what Pisces always say, right? And he goes, what, that we're the best sign? And I go, yeah, that is what.
Can we just back up for a second?
Much to the consternation of every other person on the planet.
Wait. So before the interview, you read something about the guy you were going to interview? Is that a thing?
Well, and I knew about him already. So I even took the extra step.
Wow.
Of learning to read. The first one was I learned to read earlier that week.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a professional. Do not be confused.
You can read, though.
Mostly. I like comic books. Yeah.
That's reminds me of the joke. Those are the best questions. Well, those are the best questions anyway. But do you know the joke about this guy is walking along and he comes up to this building and it says the IQ building? He's like, well, that's interesting. He walks in and the first door it says IQ 200. And a guy's in there and he's like, you know, the advanced theorems about black holes and you know, negative gravity in the fifth galaxy. He's like, "Whoa, this is way too heavy for me." So he goes out the next door, says IQ 180, and he opens the door, and this guy says, "You know, the advanced Pythagorean theorems of Immanuel Kant." And he's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" And so finally, he just says, "Screw it." He walks all the way to the end of the hall. It says IQ 40. And he opens the door, and there's two guys standing in there. And one guy says to the other guy, "Hey, what kind of sticks do you use?"
Yep, that's true. Oh God! So that's it.
Thank you, drummers.
Are you here Are you here all week?
Huh?
Are you here all week? I'm here all week.
Try the veal.
Try the veal. God. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Congratulations with that. It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, have you guys checked it out? Oh,
Yeah.
man. Oh, well, you know, well, this is this dumb part is that, you know, I waited till COVID, you know, I was trapped in COVIDville for a year before I went, maybe my worthless website that doesn't do anything, I could actually do something about that. And it was an incredibly steep learning curve, but within like 3 days, I learned how to, you know, um, it's much easier these days. You don't need to know HTML code and all that stuff like
Right.
you did,
Right.
you know, even 10 years ago. Um, so we use Enfold with WordPress, and it's, you know, pretty intuitive. You know, you have to do it the right way when you're building each page. Um, but I love it. You know, my opening page now, like every single thing is a link that takes you to another collection of links. So right at the first thing you see is this big red button that says latest new updates. And if you click on that, whenever I'm up, you know, putting the new things in there, those are the first things at the top. So I started something called Blog Jams because I like that name, a
Yeah,
blog
that was
jam.
cool.
And so blog jams are blogs, and they're also jams. That's how I came up with the name. Uh, you know, just like playing over different things, different kinds of things. So uh, I think blog jam number one was John Schofield had uh, put out this live version very recently of him playing, just him and the bass player Larry Grenadier. They live in the Hudson River Valley. He lives up in Katona. And so he decided to do this live thing. I mean, this is during COVID, so they were just the two of them. It wasn't in front of an audience, but they videoed it all. And it was all songs about rivers. You know, it's a little tribute to the, you know, that they love where they live, and it is beautiful in the Hudson River Valley.
Yeah.
And so they did "River" by Joni Mitchell, and they did "Down by the River." They did "Old
yeah.
Man River." Oh, what else? I can't remember what else. "Moon River," and but his versions of "River" by Joni Mitchell and "Down by the River" were like, I mean, they were just fantastic, so
Yeah.
great. He put a record out called Hudson a couple of years ago, and he does "Woodstock" by Joni Mitchell, and he does "Lay Lady Lay." It's like, it's just the coolest thing ever. So that inspired me to do one of those. The first blog jam was just sort of a jam on "Down by the River" in a jazzy style.
It was great. It was great.
And but what you'll also find when you hit that latest new updates, it's sort of like a table of contents of exactly what you would think. All the newest things. They're all dated, and they stay there. You know, like I talked with my web guy about it, and he's like, "Well, what are you going to do when it runs over, you know, into 2, 3 pages?" I said, "I don't care. You know, it's like each area. Like if you click on blogs, then you're going to go to the blogs, and they're all chronological, starting with the newest one. And so it's sort of like you could go to interviews, and those are chronological. So
Right.
everything is like a table of contents to another doorway into all this specific content, whatever, either the instructional or the interviews. And the interviews, um, I put audio in all of them. So at
Right.
the end of the interview, you can listen to 20 minutes of Johnny Winter playing guitar and talking, or Leslie West, or Richie Blackmore, or Jeff Beck. And in all of that audio, none of it's ever been released before because it's just from my personal collection from, interviewing people. I mean, I have thousands of tapes in here, from doing interviews going back to 1985, 36 years of interviews. So I'm going to continue to do that. Um, the Johnny Winter interview in particular, I didn't even realize I did this at first. I had written this giant story for, I guess it was the anniversary of Second Winter, and I wrote the liner notes for the reissue of Second Winter on Sony Legacy.
Very cool.
And we did those liner notes very similar to the way we ended up writing the Stevie Ray Vaughan books. I mean, some of your viewers know I wrote a book about a biography of Stevie Ray Vaughan that came out last year called Texas Flood Inside Story of Stevie Ray Vaughan. Made the New York Times bestseller list. And Jimmy Vaughn was involved, the whole family, all the cousins.
Yep.
Even his aunt, Stevie's aunt, his mother's sister, who's like 94 years old, she was involved. And all the bandmates. And anyway, the way I wrote the liner notes for Second Winter was in a similar way. The Stevie book is what you call oral history, so it's all quotes from hundreds, literally, like, without exaggerating, like 500 interviews between me and Alan. All these puzzle pieces. So what I did for Second Winter was interview Johnny Winter, Edgar Winter, Tommy Shannon, and Uncle John Turner, the four musicians, independently, but the questions were similar enough that I could put it all together so it sounded like one big conversation, which is so much fun to read, all those guys, talking about how they made Second Winter and how the songs came together. And, for you Johnny Winter fans out there, like our buddy Doug Verity that we were just talking about. Doug Verity, if you're out there. Second Winter has a lot of original songs. Johnny Winter, over his career, was not a prolific songwriter, but he did write a lot for his first few albums. And so, you've got I Love Everybody and Fast Life Rider, Hustle Down in Texas, a lot of great, like, just absolutely good love. Johnny Winter using a wah-wah, which you're not going to hear too often. But when I wrote the piece for the magazine, they were going to devote a lot of space to the piece, like 5,000 words. Like, that's a lot. But I wrote a 10,000 word piece. And when I just grabbed the file to throw it up on my website of, here's my Johnny Winter interview from back then, I didn't realize it was the entire 10,000 word. So that's what's there. So there's a lot of stuff in there that people have it's never been released before, So anyway, the website's really fun. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I used to a big chunk of my life was spent making art, and I went to art school and got a degree in art. So there's a section of my website dedicated to artwork, from over the years. And so I'm looking to, just keep adding cool stuff to it. And Tommy and I talked earlier this week about the, multiple platform high def audio video live streaming, which I'm trying to get my head around. That's the next thing.
Yep.
But we also need to make time to practice the guitar.
God damn. No.
First and foremost.
I be like my kids.
That's so awesome. I mean, like the Leslie West interview.
Yeah.
Leslie, I got to know, um, and I did one of my instructional books was called Blues Rock Guitar Masters, and I did 2 songs each of Ritchie Blackmore and Deep Purple. Like I did Smoke in the Water and Lazy, and I did my best to recreate all that playing in the books. And so for Mountain, I did Mississippi Queen and Dreams of Milk and Honey, and this was about 20 years ago, something like that. And it turned out Leslie and I had a mutual friend, and the guy played the stuff for Leslie. I'm hearing yelling. I'm sorry.
It's Leslie. He's rolling over in the grave, and it hurts because he's got one leg.
Hold on a second. Are you calling me?
It's so cool. Anyway, hey, Roger, I know you're watching, and yes, if we're both vaccinated,
Okay.
we can share the straw.
Sorry, fellas. Yeah, she was talking to the dog, which I thought.
I know, but they use the same tone when they talk to us.
You know that whole Adam Sandler thing? You remember ever see that? Not you, the dog.
Not you.
Like over and over again. Who wants some steak? Not you, the dog. And then eventually it's like, oh, you want to lick my feet? You,
Right.
not the dog. Something like that. Anyway, so I'm having a lot of fun with the website, and I want it really to be cool, and I'm adding new content. I don't want to drive people too crazy, but at least a few times a week there's going to be new video lessons and those blog jams and interviews and audio. I mean, to be able to listen to 15 minutes of Ritchie Blackmore talking about his being a kid and how he started on guitar, and then the roots of Deep Purple. I mean, what's better than that, you know?
Yeah, I listened to that interview today, and I was just like, he's one guy that I would love to interview, just growing up being a fan. But I'm like, what the hell do you ask? That he's not going to get upset or anything. And you asked questions that were just like, wow, so informative that I really appreciate it.
Well, I won him over pretty quickly because he does have this reputation where he could be really difficult. And there was a famous interview in Guitar Player from like the late 70s where basically the whole interview, it sounds like he's screaming at the guy and threw a steak across the room or something, and was, like you could tell in the interview he was really difficult. But Mike DeMeo, who some of you guys know, the keyboard player, singer, Mike actually lived with Ritchie like 30 years ago, and Ritchie wanted Mike to be the singer in Deep Purple, and Mike, when he was like 21 or 2, did all the vocals for the Battle Rages On album. And
he could do it.
And then EMI said, we're not going to release it unless Ian Gillan is the singer. And Ritchie was pretty upset about it, so Ian Gillan redid all the vocals, and Ritchie did that tour and never played another note with Deep Purple again. That was...
Wow.
So anyway, first thing I said to him, I said, I know a guy, we have a mutual friend, Mike DeMeo, and he loves Mike, and so that helped. But Ritchie he could tell I loved him so much,
Yeah.
And I was, I was talking to him about the concerto and about, In Rock and, Speed King and Child of Time and No, and I told him I saw him on the Machine Head tour in 1973 at the Felt Forum. Ritchie Blackmore was one of my biggest influences for sure. I never heard anybody play like that. And so that's why I was asking him those kind of questions, Len, was it, that he was the first guy to play, like to really kind of change the landscape in terms of technical proficiency and musical language in rock, where it was becoming, where he utilized modal, more classical like ideas and themes, with this incredible tone, like like the greatest tone, like the most signature, amazing.
Yeah.
Using 200-watt Marshall majors, and
Yeah.
you know, like, I mean, nobody's like Richie, you know. So anyhow, that's what I'm going to continue to do with the website. I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of interviews, and I'm going to be putting them up there, and people can click and listen to stuff that's never been out. I mean, it doesn't exist. So,
You know, it's probably got to be great to go back and curate some of that stuff that you have, such as, you know, the Richie Blackmore interview, and you know, you'll probably find stuff that you may not even remember having, you know, and just be amazed.
well, there's so much. I mean, I'm just looking at the walls of these tapes. I mean, it's ridiculous. And there's some. I mean, there's just cassette tapes like everywhere. And we probably talked about this the first time, but when, you know, in writing the Stevie book, one thing that really kind of helped, not just me, but helped me and my co-author Alan Paul, you know, get off to a flying start, was that in 2000, 21 years ago, I had gone down to Austin to write a story about the 10-year anniversary of the death of Stevie Ray Vaughan for a cover story for Guitar World, and basically lived at Tommy's house for 3 days. Tommy Shannon, the bass player from Double Trouble. You know, I'd become really good friends with them, and I'd recorded with them and played some shows with them, and they just became good friends. It's so funny. Well, anyway, I came back after 3 days. I came back with like 14 90-minute tapes. It was a lot of stuff.
That's a lot.
But what's funny is the very first tape, I forgot this, you know, when we started writing the book, I went back to the tapes. And the very first thing I say on the tape, and it was at night because I remember I got there and we went out to dinner, and then it was, I don't know, like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I was starting because we went until like 2 o'clock in the morning. So the first thing I say is I put the tape on, I go, all right, guys, just like tell me the story of everything. Go.
Yes, you go.
And then, and Chris goes like, what? What do you want? And then Tommy Shannon goes, what is it now? So that's how we got started. But when I got home, I looked at all those cassette tapes and I said, if I don't transcribe them now, I'll never do it.
Ever.
And so I transcribed them completely, and it was like 95,000 words or something.
Wow.
Like something completely, or 95 pages, or I don't remember what it was. I think it was 95 pages. And so we had to submit, you know, a example of our writing to get the publishing deal. And, you know, they wanted a 350-page book. And, you know, you submit 40 pages or 50 pages or something. And we submitted 125 pages. You know, like a third of the book.
Right.
And they were like, yeah, this is good. Like, you're pretty far along, aren't you? So, anyhow, there are a lot of other tapes. And over the years, you know, like kind of a disparate group of people that I've become either stayed friends with or became friends with for a period of time. We were talking about Joe Perry before. We should talk about that.
We talk about Joe Perry. Hi, Joe.
Because of how you opened the show. But Joe's a guy who I'm still friends with. A guy I became friends with for a while was Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins. And he was a great guy. And, you know, at the peak of their success, I was getting together with him and writing stories. I was ghostwriting his columns for Guitar World. I went to his house out in Chicago. And he was great. He was always great. And so I'm going to post some stuff with Billy. Like I was with him while he was in the middle of recording Melancholy before it came out. and he was
Really?
playing me all the tapes, like fresh from coming home from the studio.
Shit.
Bullet with Butterfly Wings and Tonight, like songs, Tales of Scorched Earth. That album is so ridiculous, and they had a successful record with Siamese Dream, and the songs Cherub Rock and Today was the big hit.
Yeah.
But
Great songs. Just
Melancholy, the next record, the one I'm talking about, he was playing me the demos. That went on to 16 times platinum. And Billy knew it. Like he said to me, he said, he goes, all of this is really bittersweet because I know that we're going to release this record and it's going to be huge. It'll probably be the biggest record we ever make. But I also know, it's like he's on the roller coaster ride going up.
Yeah.
He goes, I know the record's going to come out and it's going to be huge and we're going to be big, but then that means we're going to have to come down the other side. He was already envisioning, that this whirlwind was about to happen over the next year or two that was going to be the most fabulous thing he could ever have dreamt of. But then it'll have a shelf life. And I thought that was pretty, mature of him.
Very mature.
But then when it happened, he was, the next record was Amore, which is a fantastic album. But how could it compete with? You could say this about a lot of bands,
I could think of a few where the first album or two were unbelievable, and then don't know what happened after that. So
there's probably more bands like that than bands that are not.
Yeah.
I love Alice in Chains, and I think Jerry Cantrell is an incredible musician. He's a guy I got to know. I got to play with him and tour with him. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
But I think Dirt is the best record they ever made, and there isn't anything that ever came anywhere close to that.
Yeah. And for people, and we'll talk about Joe, Perry, they had a second career. But
they're exception and bigger than the first time.
Right. Bigger than the first time. And they someone like that is the exception, in
survivors.
So many ways where you just don't see people come back, especially from the point they were at.
Oh, their story, the Aerosmith story, is such a crazy story.
Yeah.
So it's really a very heartwarming story, actually, for, it's the ultimate behind the music, right? All those behind the musics were, the crash and burn, and then the, Phoenix rising from the ashes.
Resurrection.
Yeah, one of the good stories about that was when Rick Dufay was in the band, and he goes, everybody's together, and goes, I can't do this. You need to be in the band, Joe. I quit. He knew, and he's a fun guitar player who's still, of course, involved with Aerosmith.
Was he a co-writer on Chip Away the Stone?
No, that was
I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Rich Supa.
Richie Supa?
Yeah, Richie Supa, who's also sober.
But let's go back to this Joe Perry thing for a second.
Yeah, let's go back.
This is a good story.
So Joey started the show with a live clip, correct? This is how the show started tonight. I did a gig like a year and a half ago, or 50 years ago.
Could have been 50. Could have been. It couldn't have been in the last 12 months.
We were dressed in colonial clothing, wearing wigs,
buckles,
three-cornered hats.
It's so nice. I like the buckle shoes. They look good.
I'm not really sure. It was like we were playing at medieval times, or unless it was actually happening during medieval times. I can't at all.
Same thing, same plague.
Remember in Cable Guy where they complain and they go, like, why are we, like they didn't have forks and spoons during medieval times, and she's like, they didn't have Sprite either. There's Janine Garofalo. But anyway, so me and Bobby Rondinelli, who I'm sure you guys know for the
he
listeners
plays
out
the
there,
drums.
Bobby, Long Island's, own, without question, one of the greatest rock drummers ever. He was in Sabbath and Rainbow and Whitesnake. What am I leaving out? All kinds of people he's played with. All those Rainbow videos from the 80s.
Oh yeah.
Like, that's all Bobby. It's killer. So
Oh
good.
yeah. No, he's stellar. I mean, he's
He's really like the only like real rock drummer, like a real rock drummer
Yeah.
that I know. You
yeah.
know,
I mean, but
because
like
there aren't that many.
right. I mean, that full on heavy, rock drummer, not a metal
Well,
drummer.
he spins his sticks.
Yeah, he does the
He's
whole.
got two kick drums, and
Yeah.
I mean, he's just nuts. Like he's got those 26-inch Ludwig kick drums, like
Yeah.
like John Bonham, and he loves Bonham. But I mean, he's just phenomenal. So you guys opened the show with us doing Crossroads, Cream from the Warehouse, and it really came out great. Rob DiMartino on bass, and just those guys are real rock musicians, So playing that music with them, it just sounded right, And so I was telling the story before. It was October of 2005 when Cream finally did a reunion. They did 3 nights in a row, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, at Madison Square Garden, and it was pretty underwhelming. And I went on Tuesday, and then the consensus later was that was the best night.
I went the night you went, just so you know.
Oh, okay. But it was still, it was not. I mean, it wasn't like Cream. It just wasn't. I mean, in all fairness, Jack Bruce, they did it because they thought Jack was going to die any second, and he didn't. But he subsequently did. He did get a liver transplant, but I think that's why Eric wanted to do it. And obviously, since Ginger has passed away too, I think Eric thought we better do it now, because Jack might not stick around that long. But it just wasn't the fire of Cream, I mean, it wasn't anything like that.
No, it was the motions, pretty much. There was at no point where it lit up.
No, and Eric, I mean, he didn't do us any favors, by coming out with tweed twins and playing the Strat all night long.
That hurt. I thought.
Wasn't the same.
To me, that bothered me. Even if he had just come out with even just, hell, I would have liked a Soldano at that point. Just I don't know.
Well, I mean, I just felt like, what, Eric, like, would it have killed you to come out with, a 335?
And
or like the Fool, even if it was a replica. Like,
right.
These are people who've been waiting 45 years for you to get back.
Firebird would have been
Firebird,
monstrous.
Gibson is the word we're looking for.
Gibson is the word, and Marshall.
Or a Les Paul and
Les
a Marshall.
Paul would be fine.
Yeah, like if we walked into Madison Square Garden and saw 2 Marshalls full stacks,
right,
on each side.
On each side, yeah, on each side.
And Jack playing an EB3 instead of like that Warwick thing made out of driftwood or whatever. And Eric playing.
Yeah, we don't want any of that master volume.
It's the Garden. I think you could turn it up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could have probably, 4 stacks.
Listen, there's a picture of Peter Green from 1967 when he replaced Eric in the Blues Breakers. And they're in like a tiny club because that's all they did in England in those days, like the Ricky Tick and the Broken Spoke and the Klukes Clique, and all you Cream fans should go on YouTube. There's a guy whose YouTube channel, Weed Buzz. He has so many great bootlegs. And to listen to Cream like November '66 at Kluk's Cleek. You know, I mean, it's like a tiny place, and they're playing full stacks. And so this picture of Peter Green, he's playing, he's making this face, he's playing Les Paul, and you can see it's like one of those old, like, what do they call them? Coffin Marshalls, you know, like really early.
Yeah.
Every knob's on 10.
In a club that
And they're
size.
playing some little club. So, you know, that's just how it was. You know?
That's how you did it back then.
That's how you did it. Yeah. So, anyway, it was disappointing on some level. Like, it would have been really easy for Eric to just, like, if he had 2 full stacks and walked out with a 335, you know what I mean? Like, would it have killed him to do that? Anyway, so the point of the story is, so they played Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I heard Wednesday was particularly bad, that Eric was already, like, you know,
Yeah.
half on the airplane flying home, you know. Like, how do I get out of here? And Joe Perry went on the Wednesday. And so now it's Thursday, 2005, and I'm with my daughter, who was taking her written test. I'm at DMV with her, you know, so she's taking her written test for her driver's license. And my cell phone rings, and I look down. You know, my 2005 cell phone was like a little flip phone or something, or a slider. I think I had a slider phone. Remember those that would slide up?
Yeah.
With the shape of a beetle. It's like
Hey,
shape of a beetle.
Get a text.
Silver and like shape of a beetle.
Yeah.
And that it was a slider phone. But the name of the person calling would come up on the screen. And it was Joe, and he was so angry. And he was like, I saw Cream last night. Man, that fucking sucked. Like, what the fuck was that? And it was cool because it was really just the, you know, him expressing himself as a fan of Cream. And it was all the stuff we're talking about. You know, he was like, you know, people have been waiting for 40 years. You can't walk out there with a Gibson, you know.
Right.
You know, and he goes, in the way they played, and he goes, in the way Eric played, he goes, you know, I know people that could have gotten up there and done it about 1,000 times better, and you're one of those people. Which
Wow.
is nice of him
True.
to say.
It is true.
So, thank you, Joe. But that clip that you showed, I sent it to him, because that clip was from 1.5 years ago. And he loved it, you know, just seeing somebody, because I'm paying homage to the version of Crossroads that is the one, you know, from Wheels of Fire that we all, I mean, that's essential learning, you know.
And it's reckless too. You know, if you listen to it, you can feel how reckless the recording. I mean, they were just going for it. You know, it wasn't.
Oh God, yeah. Every show, there's so much stuff. One of my favorite shows is from the Grandy Ballroom in Detroit. For whatever reason, the vibes in Detroit in 1968 or 7. I'm not sure which year it is, 67 or 8. Like there's a Jeff Beck group bootleg from the Grandy Ballroom in 68. Something must have been going on, you know, it's Detroit, we know that. You know,
Yep.
So it's like New York times 100 in terms of the intensity. Like these people are rabid for, you know, they want the rock and roll.
Right. And the thing is, like,
raw and heavy as it could be.
and you can get to Detroit. You know, like to get to New York City or anything. There's a little bit of work needs to go into it. It's not, you know, 40 miles out of here isn't farms, right? 40 miles outside of Detroit, there are smaller towns where people are just fucking dying to get into.
Well, and because it is in the middle of the country,
Yeah.
you are going to get, you know, like those people are used to, like if you live in Milwaukee, you know, to have to go to Chicago to go to a show is not that crazy.
Nope, it's not. And
You know, it's just what you do.
it's what you do. So
Yeah.
the Midwest is definitely like that. They will go to a show, and they will, you know, the 2-hour drive home for them is, you know, getting milk. You know.
Yeah, Texas is like that too. Cause
Yeah, Texas is absolutely. You know,
Texas is so big. To have a 4-hour drive home after your gig is like they don't even think about it.
right. It's just okay. It's a gig.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like really rural.
It is tough if you're from New York. I always felt like, you know, we're spoiled in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine living in another city, um, because especially right here, like in the western part of Long Island. Um, you go an hour and a half and you're in Montauk. You're at the end of Long Island, where it's just all water and beaches and beautiful. You
Beautiful.
drive 2 hours. You drive 2 hours north, and you're up in Woodstock, up in the Berkshires. Up in
Beautiful.
Catskill Mountains, not the Berkshires, Catskill Mountains. Or you drive 4 hours and you're in Boston, and you know, or you could drive a few hours, 3 hours, and you're in Washington D.C. and you're down in Maryland. Like where, like you could have mountains, or you could have the ocean, or you could have and then you got the little thing called the Big Apple, Manhattan,
Absolutely.
where things used to happen. There used to be all kinds of stuff
Mhm.
there before. There was music. I don't know if anybody watching the show knows this, but people would go to a place.
And do what?
Some of those people would play instruments, and some of the people would listen to the people that were playing the instruments.
You know, and not only
And
that,
they would
they would shush you.
and they would stand in different parts of the room, generally,
Right.
unless it was CBGBs, and then they were in the stand.
And then they're all over you throwing up. I love this.
Yeah,
Except for the bathroom. Everything but the
Exactly.
bathroom.
Legendary bathroom.
So anyhow, hopefully, spring is here, or almost here. Spring's almost here.
Almost here.
It's feeling like this. We may be getting to the light at the end of the tunnel and getting back to playing, and people being able to. I mean, like yesterday was a beautiful day. I took my dog for a walk in the late afternoon, and it was Saturday. And man, they were like parties people were having in their backyards, on the porches of their houses. I mean, I was just hearing like groups of people as I was walking through town.
Yeah.
And I went by the bistro, the local restaurant, and there was like a lot of people in there having dinner. And
We're at 75%. So
I was like, this is looking pretty cool. Like I'm coming down the hill here, and I'm hearing voices from some group of people all having a good time together because it's nice. The weather's nice. And they're all sitting outside.
Yeah.
Coming from wherever the hell it's pretty welcome sounds.
It is. And Andy knows, and we talk about this on the show. Where we live is a very, very musical town. There's live music all the time. In fact, when summer starts, we have the beach. We have the restaurants all have music, and then a couple of nights of the week they're outside playing.
And then the park at the end of Sixth Avenue every Thursday night they have music.
And we have we've had music has been such a part of the our neighborhood here, and with amazing players as you are, Andy. It's really sad right now because it's quiet.
Well, it's
we'll get there.
I think that's the toughest. I think the reality is that first of all, let's knock wood that we're all okay. First of all,
we are. Hopefully,
because
everybody
there
else.
are people that are not, and a lot of people have died, and so thank God that didn't happen. Jimmy Vaughn once was trying to, in his way, because he's very succinct in the way he plays guitar, and he's also succinct in the way he communicates when he's talking.
Hmm.
And he was trying to make a point about how, well, I'll just tell the story. He'll say, like, let's say the point of the story was that the mantle of having lost his brother is something it's just always there, it's not like something that has changed, even though 30 years have gone by, that much. It hasn't changed that much for him. He misses his brother. But, I'll get to the point of the story is, so he goes, I'll give you a perfect example. So I go to the store to buy coffee. And on some subconscious level, I'm glad I'm not dead, that I can, buy coffee. You don't think about that, but it's true, right?
There a date.
I mean, I'm not dead. I could buy coffee. And I'll be standing in the aisle with the coffee, and then someone will just run up to me and go, "Oh, I just want to say, I'm so sorry your brother's dead." And he goes, "Now the two of us are crying. I don't know this person. We're standing in the aisle at the grocery store, and I'm holding a bag of coffee, and we're both crying." And he's like, "That's what it's like. It's like, no wonder, it's, no wonder it's tough. It's, for most people, it's very sad if they were fans of Stevie Ray Vaughan that, it's a tragic story that he died at a young age and the way he died and all that stuff. And so, that part of it, but for his brother, it's a different kind of reality on a daily basis, that is, it's just tough, it's just a tough thing. And I've known Jimmy a long time, and he's always been great and very generous. I'm very thankful for, that he participated in the book, and he's always been so honest, and he's been fantastic. He's terrific. He's almost like a big brother for me too, because I'll say the dumbest shit to him, just because I know it'll crack him up, like something really stupid, and he'll go "shut up" and give me an elbow,
Well, that's
in the middle of the chest, he'll be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Yeah.
So at least I'm happy for that, because I'll ask him, I can ask him stuff. Here, I'll give you this. You'll get a kick out of this. So, the book wasn't done. We were still working on it, and we didn't have advanced readers yet. Usually when you finish a book, the first thing that happens is you get advanced readers. So the book's really pretty much done. You can change things if, there's a disaster. But you send the advanced readers out all over so you can get, quotes from the New York Times or, Austin Chronicle, or, you want, when the real book comes out, you want all those quotes on your book, and you want quotes
right
from Joe Perry and Lucinda Williams and Billy Gibbons and Carlos Santana, these are all the people we got quotes from. So you send everybody advanced readers. But we weren't even at the point where we had the advanced readers. We were getting close. And the phone rings one morning, and it's Jimmy. And he's like, "Hey, man, I just want to say, last night I had this realization. I have no idea what's in the book. So I have to ask you a question." And I go, "What?" He goes, "Is there any, weird sex stuff in the book?" And I go, "No, but Jimmy, we have time. What do you got?"
What do you got?
And he's like, "No." And I go, "I'm serious. It's got to be something. You wouldn't be bringing it up otherwise. So, what do you got?"
What do you got?
And he's like, No. And then I went, "First of all, of course not. Why would there be? It's completely ridiculous. No."
Even if we had that information.
And there would be no point. What's the point? But then I told him a story. I go, "But Mike Steele, who Stevie lived with for a while in 1979, and still knows Jimmy now, and everybody down there. Mike Steele, I got to become friends with him. He's phenomenal, incredible guy, so funny." So he goes, "Well, Mike Steele told me a story," and then I told him the story that Mike Steele told me about Stevie, having sex with some girl, and him coming in at 6 o'clock in the morning, and the whole house was like destroyed from the Stevie having sex with this girl.
Oh my God.
And it was very graphic.
We're going to get kicked off the air. Whatever.
It was very graphic. I'm cleaning it up. It was extremely graphic.
I know.
And they were like entangled in a ball, like both asleep, him and this girl.
Entangled.
And so I'm telling Jimmy the story, and I go, well, Mike Steele told me this story, and he goes, well, what did he tell you that for? And I go, I don't know, he's Mike Steele, like Mike Steele. These are the kind of stories Mike Steele tells. I go, it's not in the book. Like, I'm not putting that in the book. Like, it's ridiculous. And he's like, okay, thanks. And he hung up. But, when he asked that, I had to go like, no, but what do you got? I mean, we got time, Like, I'm ready. I got my pencil.
Yeah.
What happened?
Let me write this down now.
Revision. Chapter 22A.
Yeah.
We wanted to know, Stevie wore, some of you guys may have seen the picture, sometimes he had this Indian headdress. Do you guys see that? Ever see a
I've
picture?
seen that. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was like
yeah.
gigantic, like the chief's, headdress. And he wore it sometimes. And so we were wondering, when he got it, where it came from, because it was kind of a brief period where it was, he incorporated it into his show and he strapped this thing on his head. It was huge. Like, people, I encourage you to all look up Stevie Ray Vaughan Indian headdress, and you'll see like this. It's nuts.
And get one.
And try to get one. So we didn't know. So I told Alan, I said, well, I'll ask, and Chris and Tommy couldn't remember. And they were like, ask Jimmy, Jimmy, he'll probably know. And so I left him a message, and I was actually like sitting, waiting to talk to like my financial advisor, in this office building. And my cell phone rings, and it's Jimmy. And he's like, hey, I got your message. He goes, yeah, I gave that to Stevie as a birthday present. We were in Oklahoma City, and I saw it, and I thought, he would love it. And you know what? I bet he would wear it. Like, that's how crazy Stevie is. So I'll buy it and give it to him for his birthday.
It's in the picture behind you right now.
Oh, cool.
Doesn't he have it up?
Yeah, I put it up.
Yeah. So he's like, so I gave it to him for his birthday, which is October 3rd, his birthday.
Oh, that's huge.
So I said...
It's huge.
Huge.
So I said, well, do you remember when it was? Like, maybe he could narrow it down to 1984, 1985. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, it was in the 80s.
Okay.
Just the
Thanks a lot. It was in the 80s. I went, okay.
You don't understand journalism, do you?
Like, he knew where it was. You know what I mean? Like, he was like, we were in Oklahoma City. It was for his birthday. I saw it. I knew he'd wear it. Well, when was this? I don't know. In the 80s. So we wrote, like, Stevie got this as a birthday present from his brother Jimmy, like, during the 80s at some point. Something like that. I don't think we just said that. It would sound too stupid. So.
This is a direct quote.
Anyway, it's what actually right before he went into rehab, he was walking off the stage, and there was like a sort of a gangplank. Whoever thought of this was a fucking genius. That they didn't really have a ramp from the stage to the ground, so they just put like a plank of wood. And Stevie's wearing the headdress thing. He's walking off the stage, and just as he gets to the plank, they cut the lights because the show is over. So now he's about to step on this thing that's precarious anyway, and they said that he leaned forward and the headdress fell over his eyes and he couldn't see, and then he missed the plank and fell like 8 feet and hit the ground. And then, and he was about to go into rehab anyway, like things were not going well. I think Chris said that when that happened, Stevie just said, "That's it."
Yeah, enough.
Like, I'm done. But
Wow.
in the paper the next day, it said something like Stevie Ray Vaughan falls off stage, because like he was so high on drugs.
Yeah.
And that isn't what happened, like. But the headdress could be a problem.
You know what? I say we get them. We find them. We get them. Oklahoma City's not too far. We can go. I don't see any reason why not. I need one. I just need another excuse to buy stupid shit.
One thing that I could say that was fun in writing the book was getting to know all these different people that played with Stevie in all different periods of his life, especially the guys from way early on, like from high school.
Oh, okay.
And so it was a task trying to track those people down, of course. Like, it was crazy. And you'd be like 15 phone calls of a guy to another guy to another guy to another guy. Oh, I think, Scott Ferris might know Roddy Colonna's phone number, but you got to call, Sean Ferris, Scott's brother, and then try to get this, like it was constantly like that. And Stevie's band Blackbird, this is kind of interesting, I think. Blackbird was sort of built like the Allman Brothers. This was in 1972, the band that he moved to Austin with.
Okay.
So it's interesting to think of Stevie Ray Vaughan playing like basically in an Allman Brothers cover band with 2 guitar players, 2 drummers, an organ player, and they did all the Allman stuff and played all the harmonized guitar parts. And Stevie would play slide, and they do Statesboro Blues. He had a gold top Les Paul. I mean, it's really cool to think of Stevie.
That's an interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Sure. Yeah.
In fact, for you Allman Brothers fans out there, they just put out this Live in Austin 1971, which is really cool. And it's from the night after Stevie saw them at the State Hall Music Fair in Dallas. Stevie saw them the night before. And then Dwayne died like 3 weeks later. But my point was going to be that we tried to get a hold. One of the drummers in that band was Roddy Colonna, who had amazing stories. And then I got to play with Roddy and meet him when I was in Austin a year and a half ago when the book came out. And, all these really wonderful people and good musicians. Like Roddy went on to play with Delbert McClinton for 8 years. Like almost everybody went on to,
Sure,
like, they were good musicians, Like, there wasn't a bunch of hacks. But I couldn't get a hold of this drummer, John Hoff, who was the other drummer. No, they had 2 drummers.
Right.
And then somehow, the book was out, and I got a Facebook message from John Hoff saying, I love the book. So I ended up calling him, and now, communicate with him every once in a while.
Nice.
And he, through me, reunited with Roddy Colonna, the other drummer. They hadn't talked to each other since 1973.
Wow.
And he said it to me again in a message he sent me like a week ago. He said, thanks again for reconnecting me with Roddy.
Well, that's an interesting, fallout from, not fallout, but, from the book to have that happen. That's.
Oh, yeah, it brought people back together, and Stevie was their, common link in the chain, the connection between all these different people. And, I don't know if we talked about this the first time. The book was pretty much done, and we had all the stuff about the last gig, which was Alpine Valley, East Troy,
Right.
Wisconsin. And then everything about the next morning when Double Trouble realized that Stevie was dead and, them finding out. But then it jumped to the funeral. So they were like, it happened on a Sunday night. They find out on Monday morning. And so we had done the interviews and researched the last show, and then them finding out what happened, and then the funeral. But what dawned on me was that we had nothing about, like everybody remembers where they were when they heard that John Lennon died in that moment. And then the next day there was this vigil in Central Park, and it wasn't like everybody called their friends and said, "Hey, come to Central Park." Like, it just was a spontaneous thing that happened. You know, people all went to that section of Central Park that, you know, where the Imagine
Where it is now, yeah.
mosaic is. And it dawned on me that we didn't have anything about what happened in Austin, Texas on Monday, like during that day when everybody was finding out about what happened. And so I called like 12 guys, you know, that are in the book, to ask them, how did you find out? And what happened? And what was it like? And so that was unbelievable to find out about. You know, everybody went to Anton's that night.
Yeah.
It was the same thing. Like, they didn't know what to do. People didn't know what to do. They wanted to be together. And, but, you know, like, John Lennon was a man of the world, right? You know, like, when he died, I would say that probably 99% of the people in Central Park, you know, never met him, didn't know him. But in Austin, Texas, on that Monday night, almost every one of those people, they knew Stevie. I mean, he was their friend, you know, or their bandmate, or the guy from town.
Right.
Everybody knew, you know, hometown boy makes good, you know.
Yep.
And so Grissom, and Joe Priesnitz and Eric Johnson, they all told me the story. Eric had a gig on the Wednesday, the day before the funeral. And so now it's Monday, and Joe, and Eric Johnson was very good friends with Stevie. Joe Priesnitz, his manager, calls Eric to give him the news about Stevie. And then he goes, you know, you have a gig at the Steamboat in Austin on Wednesday. You know, do you want to cancel it? Because, I mean, everybody was, I mean, this was, losing Stevie to all those people was, nothing could be closer to home for all those people. They knew him. He was their friend. And so Joe said to Eric, what do you think? Do you want to do the show? Do you want to cancel the show? And he said, Eric said to him, what do you think Stevie would want us to do?
Do the show.
And so obviously that meant to play. And Grissom, then I asked him, and he said that he went, and he said, Eric said, he goes, I can't remember, it was all way too emotional. David Grissom is one of the sweetest guys ever, along with being an incredible guitar player, and so is Eric Johnson. These are just great, great people. And David said, Eric said some stuff about Stevie, it was really beautiful, and then I got up and played, and I could barely remember it. It was the most emotional thing. And so I was glad that we got all that in the book. I mean, it's probably like 2 pages, in a 400-page book. But it's like that visceral moment of this terrible realization of what has happened, with this guy. I mean, getting to play with and getting to know Mitch Mitchell and Buddy Miles and Billy Cox gave me a completely different perspective on Hendrix. Because they would talk about him, and it was sort of like he was in the room with us. Because he was their friend.
Yeah.
He wasn't just Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, it was a brother.
Yeah, he was their friend, And it was a wild feeling for them to all be talking and for you to feel like, there's one guy who's not here, who's supposed to be. Some guy named Jimi Hendrix. So, wonderful for me to have had the chance to play with these guys, all these guys, Especially somebody like Mitch Mitchell, and Buddy Miles, big musical heroes for me,
Yeah. I know we were. I know when we were talking the other day, we were just riffing on some of the transcriptions you did, and of course we talked about Band of Gypsies for a couple of minutes because people were like, why did you fucking do that song? So
Wait, what's that?
when we were talking about the guy who wants a transcript of Message of Love.
Oh, a guy on
Yeah, we were just
Facebook that got mad at me.
yeah, and then I said, where's my machine gun?
Yeah, or something like that.
Anyway, so yeah.
But when Andy, when you were involved doing the Hendrix tribute things, did you get a chance to play with those guys?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, I toured with Mitch and Buddy Miles and Billy Cox and Paul Rogers from Free and Jerry Cantrell and Satriani was on some of the shows and Buddy Guy was on almost all the shows and Hubert Sumlin and I'm going to be remiss in this moment, heat of the moment of who I was on some of those shows with. Doyle Bramhall, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, Steve Vai. Steve did something really, really cool. Because Steve Vai is a guy who I've known for a very long time. I met him when he was 1979, playing with Zappa, because we had mutual friends. And we've been friends all these years. Do you guys, you've seen that Knapsack thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've heard it. I have heard of it. I haven't even seen it yet.
He just is playing the guitar with one hand the whole
One
time.
hand, right?
I saw,
the other he's got an injury or something, right?
Yeah,
he had surgery actually on his shoulder, I think.
Yeah.
And then he got trigger finger, so he's got bandages on his left hand.
On this hand, he had carpal tunnel or something, so he has some kind of bandage here. But it's like insane. It's the sickest thing ever. It's Steve Vai, first of all.
Yeah.
And it's all one-handed, like the whole thing. And then like a Bugs Bunny cartoon at the end, he hits the chord with this. He brings his arm over and he hits the chord. And he goes, "Ow!"
And the articulation with just his one hand.
No, it's not
right.
It's not possible.
It's not in this planet. You're right. It's just not.
But I forgot what my point was going to be. I don't know.
Well, Steve, if you're watching,
All these guys that were on that Hendrix tour.
Oh, so the first night, so this one tour, I can't remember what year it was, maybe 2010 or 11. Steve was like the headliner. Every year, like they would have either Joe Satriani or like Buddy Guy or somebody would be like the headliner of the Hendrix tribute tour, and they'd have all these different people. Like the last tour, they had Dave Mustaine, and Dave did a great job. He played great, and and Satriani's trio was him and Doug Pinnick, and Kenny Aronoff. And they were. I asked Joe. I was like, Joe was funny. He was like, I've done this Hendrix tribute thing a few times, and he goes, I don't want to just go out there and like play with whoever, and I don't really like the kind of, unrehearsed, like not that together idea, He said, so I told him, I said, I'll do it, and they wanted him to be the headliner. He said, I'll do it, but I have to be able to come out with my own group, that I'm going to rehearse before the tour, and then we'll play a set, I'll do it if you let me do that, which is certainly reasonable, right? I mean, it would make a better show anyway. So he said, I'm going to do it with Doug and Kenny. And I said, oh, what are you guys going to play? And then he told me like the song list, and it was like Manic Depression and Voodoo Child and Crosstown Traffic and Spanish Castle Man. Like, I was like, this is the set. It was like 8 songs. If 6 was 9, like it was like, I was like, what? Like it was like 8 songs. They were all on. I go, you're playing all of this? He's like, oh yeah. So I went they played Westbury, and I saw them over there, and it was sick, man. It was something else. But anyhow, whatever my Steve Vai story was going to be, I can't remember now. But yeah, it was great to get to know Mitch Mitchell and Buddy Miles, and get to know those guys. on a personal level. You know, have dinner with Mitch. I played in Japan. I played the Mount Fuji Rock Festival with Mitch Mitchell and Buddy Miles in front of 200,000 people.
Wow.
Wow.
Amazing.
So they asked me before I went, they said, what do you want, you know, like backline wise? And I said, I want 2 full stack reissue 100-watt plexi Marshalls. And they said, fine. And so I walk out, you know,
Fine.
we did like a 1-second sound check. And I turned every knob on the amp up to 8, except for the bass. I put on like 2. And then I had 2 different fuzz faces. And that's the only time in my life I've ever stood in front of 2 full stack 100-watt plexis, like basically on 10. It was the loudest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. And I was thinking, like, man, this is how Hendrix played like every day.
Yeah.
Right.
It was like a normal day for him.
That's how it was done.
Absolutely.
And within 30 seconds, you go from, oh my God, this is loud, to, I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the natural
I could get used
compression
to
is
this.
amazing, right?
And you're like, this is good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
No, it's so loud. It compresses like you can almost see it. You could see the sound.
You can see it. It envelops you. I mean, if you're at that point, that's...
Yeah. I got the one down there is a 73. It's not a master volume. And, you know, realistically, once it's on at all, it's just fucking loud. There's no volume on it. You know, it's either on or off, really, because as soon as you get it up at 3, it's ungodly loud. You know,
no, it doesn't really
make any difference.
Louder.
Yeah, it doesn't get louder.
It just gets. It doesn't do anything. It's just not. It's either turned off or it's just so fucking loud you can't even stand there. It's just great.
You guys remember Casino amps? I love it. Nobody remembers Casino.
No.
It makes me so happy.
Casino amps.
Wow, that's pretty odd because, you know, you can like rock it. You could say all sorts of stuff.
I got some good guys here, and they don't know Casino amps.
Wow. All right. Bringing it up.
Oh, you're bringing it up? I was going to do it, but you should do
bring
it.
it up and put it behind us. So
Why are they showing Fuchs? It's not Fuchs. Casino. Yeah, these are from like the early 70s. They're not showing the right shit at all.
No, I'm not seeing anything. No.
Let me put Casino Casino amp 1972. Maybe that'll help. Oh,
I'm seeing Fuchs.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Is it the same dude?
Wow,
who made
this is even rarer than I thought. Maybe it is the same guy.
that would be interesting.
Well, they're also showing train wrecks.
Oh,
What was that guy's name? Keith or
Ken
Kevin
Fisher.
or something? What was his name?
Ken Fisher.
Ken Fisher. I can't believe that you
Is it
can't.
Casino with a K?
Oh, maybe. Is it Stripes?
I'm looking. I found one.
Oh,
72.
well, I did play a train wreck once. It was pretty cool.
You found a 72 Casino?
It looks like it's some solid state thing.
Dude, they were on 0 or 1,000.
1,000.
I'll put it up behind us. Hang on.
Oh, here's a Sound City. So you remember Sound City?
Yeah,
right?
I remember the Sound
Well,
City
that's
one.
what I-
Yeah,
that's
but they were similar to Sound City.
That's what Doug let me use, man. His 50, which had a 25-watt switch, which was still unbearably loud because it was no matter. I actually used his 50-watt Sound City at a club, and that's when I learned you had to turn the cabinet around.
Oh yeah.
Because
I can't even believe that you can't even find Casino amps on frickin' Google.
Yeah.
But I remember being in
I'll check Reverb.
I remember being in Sam Ash.
I think it's definitely with a K.
Oh, maybe that's my problem, is I'm not doing it with a K.
Right, I'm gonna go to Reverb and see if there's anything there.
That's the one I put behind us was from Reverb.
Oh, you got it up
Found
there?
it? Okay.
Yeah, I had it up there.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, Casino 150 bits. So it's striped. That was one of the very distinctive things about that. Oh, it does say it's transistor. Oh, this is so killer. Can you put this up there?
You just did. Holy shit! Look at that.
Wow.
All right. Yeah, I think I see a couple of them like that.
All right, that's what they looked like.
I like the model.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Girl,
I got
is there a girl in the picture?
I'm gonna put it up there now.
No, but I remember walking into Sam Ash in 1972. I'm 16 years old, and the guy goes, "All right, I want you to hear this new amp, this casino amp," and it was on 0.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Watch this," and he put it like barely on 1, and everyone was deaf. Like I don't think it got any louder. It got more distorted, but it was like. Anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you guys want to talk about?
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Now it's behind us. Now you can see us good with the model. That same picture you had. So.
It's casino amps, man. Those
Yeah.
were cool.
Well, now we got to find.
And really loud.
Now we have to find who played them.
Who played a casino amp? I don't know. I have a friend though. Do you know Randy Pratt? Any of you guys know Randy Pratt?
I know the name from somewhere, and I can't think of where I can place it.
Randy Pratt had a band called the Lizards in recent years that Bobby Rondinelli was in.
Okay.
But Randy had the original transonic amplifiers that Zeppelin used on their first tour, like the ones.
Really?
Yeah. Do you remember those transonic amps? What they look like?
No.
They're like, like trapezoidal.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now you're gonna have to look up transonic amps.
Yeah, I know.
Like this is
Andy's keeping me busy today. I can see that.
This is a geeked out show anyway, right?
Yeah, we're out of our minds. Oh, so what else is new? So you got the website up. Anything else you're working on that we can't talk about? You know.
Wait, I'm looking up. There you go.
I got it. I got one. I found
You
it.
got one? Put
It's
it
gonna
up.
take me
Oh, it's a
second.
Rickenbacker.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. The Ricks are the ones that had those things. They had a
All right.
yeah, and they had a little stand, right?
Mhm.
The tilt stand.
Yeah.
Well, Randy's got the ones that Jimmy Page used. Yeah, because it's like a Vox on a stand. It swings like the
Yeah,
Super
it swings.
Bugle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you could angle
Yeah.
it. To
He's got the ones that Zeppelin used.
Damn.
And if you look at the grill, it's very Vox-like.
Yeah.
It's got that Vox like checkerboard,
Yep.
diagonal checkerboard kind of a thing. I don't know. There's hopefully some of your viewers are geeky enough to love this kind of stuff.
Maybe.
So,
But what else do I have going? Well, I mean, I've written a lot of songs.
yeah,
I've,
I know.
I've sent some of them to Tommy.
I know, and they are actually. We learned a couple things. First off, don't send anything from an iPhone to
To an
an
Android.
Android
Yeah.
over text because it just mutilates the fucking song.
Yeah, he said it sounded horrible. And what did I do? Email it, and it sounded 100 times better.
Yeah, 100 times better when we started sharing over email. So
Yeah, because I'm used to texting people songs, and I guess other people are on iPhones, and it sounds okay,
Yeah. because it doesn't change the format. There's between iPhones and stuff, there's actually a separate communication stream.
One of the most recent ones, I actually sent it to Steve Vai, and he wrote back, and he really dug it because it was sort of Vai-ish. But no, I mean, now that the pandemic is almost over, I've actually embraced the concept of being productive with no gigs. So that's why I rebuilt my entire website in 3 days, and it's nuts. And we were talking about, trying to get the OSB going with high-def cameras, and it's probably simpler than I think. Like most things, my brain, I'm too freaked out about what I don't know versus, it's probably not. Once I get it set up, it'll just, then you don't have to think about it anymore.
Right, I know that's the thing too. Once there's a few hours of just labor getting it working, and after that, you don't really touch the stuff again.
That's the whole thing. Yeah, once it's set it
Yeah.
and forget it and get it all set up. So I got to get some cameras, and that's the thing I want to do is the more live streaming, multi-platform live streaming, where I could do it to simultaneously to YouTube and Facebook and my website.
Yeah, I told you I'll give you a hand with that too. We got you. We got you covered.
Yeah, we'll spend some time over the course of the next week or so because I got to get a couple of things working here. You need to.
Yeah, we talked about it, and it sounded like we so that's something that's actually really neat and is kind of fun thing about where we're at today, technology wise, and it's helped people get through the pandemic. Yeah.
We always say we wouldn't have this show if it wasn't a pandemic, because we would just keep putting it off and putting it off. We're way too late.
Right. Well, I finally embraced it, rebuilt my whole website, started writing songs like crazy, and so that part's been good. One time I had to put out that blues rock. I did a blues rock Guitar Masters DVD for Guitar World, and this was in 2008. I had to watch like the 13 hours that we shot for that DVD, tell the video editors all the edit points, and at the same time, during the day, I was shooting a DVD for TrueFire down in St. Pete in Florida. I was in Florida. So this is what I was doing it's three things at once. I was shooting my progressive blues power DVD for TrueFire, which is very cool. And anybody out there, if you go on my website, there's a link to my 15 TrueFire DVDs. And one of them's called Progressive Blues Power, and it really is like, I don't know, it's like 300 examples or something. It's all about lick vocabulary,
Right.
Learning the fretboard and licks and different positions and phrases. It's trying to, instead of it being boring and pedantic and here's scales and 1,000 positions, it's more like here's how to play musical phrases on different string groups in different areas and connect them. And, it's got to be musical, all of it, always about music and feeling like, real music and blues rock and all that stuff. So I was shooting that in the daytime, driving back to Sarasota from St. Pete, then rehearsing with Dickie from 9 o'clock at night till midnight. Then I go back to the hotel and edit the Blues Rock Guitar Masters DVD that I did for Guitar World till 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I'd sleep from 3 a.m., 4 a.m. till about 9 a.m. and get back in the car so I could drive an hour back up to St. Pete to go back to shooting, the Progressive Blues Power DVD. Drive back, rehearse with Betts, have dinner, and then go back to editing the...
Wow.
And so this went on for over about a week. And what I learned is that maybe I didn't really need to sleep ever.
Yeah.
And it was kind of good. It was kind of cool in a way. It was maybe going on a fast or something. Who needs food? So because I got so much done, I was like, maybe I should try to every day should be like this.
This should be my life.
Yeah, I should work from noon to 4 a.m. every day, nonstop.
Every day.
And somehow that didn't happen when I came home. I went back to falling asleep on the couch with potato chips. Watching preseason baseball.
Well, we hopefully have a little bit of that now. So that's new. So any
And other than that, I want to write another book of my crazy experiences touring and recording and getting to know, a lot of these guys. And one day I was raking the leaves and the phone rang. A guy I got to be good friends with is Johnny Winter, and the phone rang. I was raking the leaves, and it was Johnny Winter's manager. They were on the road somewhere, Paul Nelson, and he's like, "Hey, it's Paul. Johnny wants to talk to you." So I said, "All right." And Johnny Winter's one of those guys like Dickie, they hate the phone. They never, ever want to talk on the phone. So Johnny gets on the phone. He goes, "You were in my dream last night." And I go, "What?" He's like, "You were in my dream last night." I go, that wasn't a dream. That was a nightmare. And he goes, "No, man, you were in my dream and you were playing. You sounded really good." And I said, "That was a dream." And then he hung up. That was the whole call. But fucking Johnny Winter called me to tell me that I was in his dream.
Tell his manager, get me Andy on the phone.
How great is that? Or the one where I opened for him, and I was playing this guitar, because most people know me from my old beat up strap, but I was playing my Les Paul.
Yep.
You beautiful.
And 2006 custom shop. They made it for me. It's 9 pounds. Got burst buckers. Been around the world a bunch of times, and it's all worn out on the back.
Yep.
And,
Yeah.
That's
what it's supposed to do.
Look at those dirty ass pickups, man. Look at that. It's filthy.
Nice.
Anyway, so I was playing this guitar through 2 Blackface Supers. Sounded really good. And I came off stage and go back in the dressing room to say hi to Johnny. And he just looks at me, he goes, "What guitar are you playing?" I go, "I'm playing my Les Paul." He goes, "You're a Strat guy." He was mad at me. "You're a Strat guy." And I go, "That's true.
Yeah.
I am a Strat guy." I felt like playing my Les Paul. I said, "You want to see it?" He's like, "Yeah." I brought it to him, and Johnny's eyes weren't that good. His eyesight wasn't that good, but he took the guitar and he was like looking at it like this.
Like that.
And then he started playing. He's like, "Yeah, this is nice." Should I tell the story about him hitting someone over the head with a Les Paul?
Oh yeah, you have to.
That's the Spinal Tappy stuff. Go ahead. That's what we like.
All right. So when I was writing the liner notes for Second Winter, Tommy and Unc were telling me, when they were coming up before they got famous, that Johnny was a very tough guy, and he was not a big guy. I mean, he was about 5'11", but he was like a stick. He was very, very thin. But because he was an albino and it was Texas, and then when you get to the late 60s, he got long hair, people were always fucking with him. But this started when he was a kid because he was an albino. So he had learned to defend himself. And his whole thing was, like, he would wear a knife, like a giant knife strapped to his leg so people could see it. And his whole thing was like, "I'm insane. Like, you don't want to fuck with me." That whole like,
That guy.
Yeah.
Screaming Demon. He had that Screaming Demon tattoo on his chest.
Yeah.
That was him. That was really him. So, it worked pretty well a lot of times. People would just look at him and they go, "I don't know if I want to fuck with this guy. He's got a giant knife strapped to his leg, and he might be a hippie, and I'm a redneck, and I want to kick his ass, but he might slit my throat. So I'm like, maybe I shouldn't do that." But so Tommy was telling me, he's like, "Oh, Johnny didn't take shit from anybody. He had learned to be really like the aggressor, like, do not fuck with me." And he was intense. And he goes, "Man, one night he just hit this guy over the head with his guitar." And I was like, "Was he playing like the Mustang?" Like, I was like hoping. And he's like, "No, it was a Les Paul."
Oh, you could have killed
And I
the
was
guy.
like, "Oh no." And he's like, "Oh yeah, man, it was a Les Paul." He just, swung it like a baseball bat and hit the guy right in the head.
Oh.
And I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like, that's how is that not a homicide?
Really?
So then I'm talking to Johnny, and I go, "Johnny, Tommy told me that like one night you hit a guy over the head with your Les Paul," and he goes, "Yeah, he went down."
Yeah, he went down.
He went down, man. He went down. He goes, "It's a good thing, too, because he was big. He would have kicked my ass." And I go, "Can I ask a question? Why did you hit him over the head with your Les Paul?" Oh man, he asked me to play Mustang Sally 3 times. No, he asked me to play Mustang Sally.
At all.
We'd already played it 3 times.
Yeah.
All right, that
So that's justified, right?
Yeah, that's justified.
Absolutely.
No question.
I think once you get it asked once, I think you're justified.
He was on Letterman. Somebody posted a great clip of Johnny Winter on Letterman from the late 80s. And Johnny's playing is like insane. They do Johnny Be Good. And it's just insane. Like his playing is like, you can't believe somebody could play like that. Like, 0 to 90.
He was insane. I mean, I saw him live a bunch of times, and like, at some point, every once in a while, you think you're good. In your brain, you somehow think, "Oh yeah, I'm good," and then you see someone like that play, and it's just like there's such fire and ferocity, and he's head and shoulders above you, and
everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I played that second Winter reissue, came with a bonus disc, live, Johnny Winter live at Albert Hall 1970, which was with Uncle John and Tommy, like right before he fired them. And then he had Johnny Winter and with Rick Derringer. And what I wrote in the liner notes, some people, objected to what I wrote, but I think they're wrong. The 70s was the era of the live album.
Yeah.
Woodstock came out. That was a triple live album. And, Humble Pie, Band of Gypsies, Allman Brothers, the era was about the live album. And Johnny Winter put out Johnny Winter and live.
Those made like a lot of careers with their live records in the 70s. I mean, you can trace even Frampton.
The live record a lot of times was the best record. I mean,
Pie,
Rockin' the Film or Humble Pie.
Yeah.
But so the point I made was that if Johnny or Live at Leeds, the Who Live at Leeds for years was considered like the ultimate rock live album, And my point was that if they had put out Johnny Winter live at Albert Hall in 1970, like when the live album was still a new thing, that his career would have been different, because it's so unbelievable. So I played it for Bets when we were on the bus one day, like it had just come out. And now Dickie knows Johnny, because Johnny used to sit in. The Allman Brothers opened for Johnny, because Johnny was a bigger star in 1969. Right. But they became really good friends, and Johnny would sit in with them, going all the way back to then. So Dickie Betts, no slouch himself on the guitar, well familiar with Johnny Winter. I put on this Johnny Winter live at Albert Hall, and he just got on his knees. He was like, and he was like, he goes to me, he goes, "Man, I know he was good, but I didn't know he was that good."
Wow.
So,
yeah.
Anyhow. So I hope to write a book. I'm starting to write. In fact, if you go on my website, in the blog posts are these things called World on a String, which is what the book, right now, the plan of what it's going to be called. And I have a Dickie Betts one up there. That's just an excerpt, because the Betts chapter that's going to be in the book is going to be long, because I had such a long experience, relationship and experiences, so many experiences with them. So there's an excerpt up there, but it's pretty long. But then there's one with Willie Nelson, my time with getting to hang out with Willie Nelson. And there's a nice one with Warren Haynes, because Warren is a guy I got to know really well, and he invited me in 2003 to sit in with the Allman Brothers at the Beacon. So that was before I started playing with Betts, and that was, it was kind of mind-blowing, to like walk out there on the Beacon stage, and there's Greg, and there's the Allman Brothers, and
yeah,
pretty good.
It's not a bad evening.
No.
Okay.
All right, that's it.
So I don't know. That's I don't know. We covered a lot of ground. It's been it's always a fun time talking to you. As you know, we have, as you and I have discussed this week, and with Joey, we have a lot of work to do outside of the to put these shows together, help you get a little bit more on the shows, and us, even internally, so we can actually share files quickly and easily and get good sounds. So, part of that, I mean, you were on the show originally when we were just limping along, and we appreciate that, because it was, if we go back and watch that show, it's probably, like the old TV shows, the screen scrolling and it's cut around like this, and it's scrambled, so it's like the porn that we used to watch when we were kids at home, because you couldn't see it, but every once in a while a boob would
What?
come. So that's what I'm saying. So
yeah,
I think I was a fish. I think I was a fish tank in the first episode.
Yeah,
I think it was, and you were just going around.
Yeah,
Or I was the Yule log.
we Joey, we need a show of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you have the Yule log? You should have the Yule log on as a guest.
Exactly. As a guest.
Exactly.
That would be
yeah.
So,
but we got to ask Andy. You played on a million stages. You played a million places. He didn't give us a Spinal Tap.
And I've rocked them all.
Yeah. So you have to have a Spinal Tap moment for us, right? Where things went really fucking awry terribly.
Well,
other than this,
there's more than one. There's
more than one.
Think about it.
There's usually one every gig.
I mean, there's a variety of them. I'm trying to think of a good. There's a lot of good ones. One that kind of sucked was I was playing an outdoor festival and somebody decided to throw a full unopened bottle of water at me.
Oh,
was water?
Yeah.
And it hit me in the chest. And, a Poland Spring bottle of water thrown from 100 feet away. That doesn't feel good.
No.
And I was like, that wasn't funny. I didn't dig that at all. Didn't hit me in the face, thank God.
Thankfully. Yeah.
But, that's not good. But one was we were playing in Maryland, I think, or Maine. No, in Maine. We were playing in Maine. And the tour manager, this was not uncommon, told me the wrong time that the show was going to start. He told me like an hour later.
Uh-huh.
And so I was in the room, and it was one of the occasions when we actually had our own rooms, which wasn't most of the time, but this was one of those times. And I'm like thinking, it seems like kind of a late start, but I don't know, that's what he told me. And then all of a sudden I hear, because the gig was part of the same complex. Right. When you're on the road, usually it's not. You have to meet in the lobby and get in the car, and, they'll book you in a hotel in the middle of nowhere that's 25 minutes away because it's cheap. That's more common. But they put us up in a hotel, which was part of the same complex where we were playing. And I hear the band, start. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm running, and then I see the guitar tech running toward me, and he was going, I'm coming to get you. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, and we run past each other. I'm like, Rich told me it was an hour from now.
Wow.
And so I look at Betts, and, he was cool. He wasn't mad at me. I'm putting on my guitar, they're 3 minutes into the song, High Falls. And he just kind of looks at me with this look on his face, hello.
Wow.
Another one was when I was in Japan with Mitch and Billy. We were playing Dolly Dagger, and we were playing the outro. And Mitch's hi-hat falls apart. It just stops hi-hatting.
Yeah, whatever.
Right.
But we're on the outro of the song. Song's almost over. Well, Mitch decides he's going to try to fix it, while we're playing. So he's got one stick under his arm. He's hitting drums with the other arm, and he's trying to fix the hi-hats with the one hand, which is not possible.
This is
But
fun.
now he's basically a guy playing drums with one hand. It sounds terrible. And I'm looking at him like, well, then we could just end the song. Like that wouldn't be the worst idea. And he's like oblivious to, like he's now concentrated on, I have to fix my hi-hat. So Billy and I look at each other, we're like, so we end the song, but by this time, Mitch has stopped playing drums entirely, and he grabs the hi-hat, which isn't hi-hatting anymore, and he just picks it up and throws it at the roadies. And he's screaming like, get me a fucking hi-hat that fucking works!
You like
So, in Japanese audiences, they're very polite. And so, like, no one's like, and now, so the show had come to a screeching halt. We're just standing there. And Mitch decides that he's going to address the audience. And in the 6 or 7 seconds it takes for him to walk from behind his drum kit to the front of the stage and grab the mic, now he's laughing. And he doesn't know what to say. And everyone's Japanese anyway. We're in Japan. And he goes, he's just got this little grin on his face. It's very Mitch Mitchell. And he's holding the mic, and me and Billy are looking at each other like. And Mitch goes, I don't know, what do you say, a little soft shoe? And he starts like, dancing. So people start cheering, and Billy goes, after he had thrown the thing, Billy goes, he's stronger than he looks. And then people started cheering when he was dancing. So I go, don't encourage him.
Don't encourage him.
That's good.
So he's now laughing, and the roadies are busy getting a hi-hat for him that works. And now there's one in place. And Mitch turns to me and he goes, let's play Sunshine of Your Love. The Hendrix way. So I was like, Billy, Sunshine of Your Love. He's like, okay. So that was, whatever. The agony and the ecstasy, right?
The agony and the ecstasy. Perfect.
Yeah, because now we're playing Sunshine of Your Love Hendrix style with Mitch and Billy. And it was like unbelievable. Because Jimmy would play, he wouldn't sing. He would play, if you guys have heard that version, like he would step on the wand, go, and then he would turn it off, and he would, it's good in the dark, and then he would turn the wah off and go boom, 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 and then he'd step on the wah again and do the vocal part. And he does the whole song that way. Like he steps on the wand, sings, turns it off, plays the guitar lick.
Yeah. Wow.
So we did it like that. So that's a good one.
Had to be fun.
I think I got left at a bus stop, at a rest stop once, and the bus pulled away. Because they didn't do a proper head count before they took off again, in the middle of our 400-mile journey between towns. And I'm like 4 a.m. on the cell phone. Come back and get me.
Please come and get me.
I don't really want to be here. I don't even know where I am. I'm freezing. Other Spinal Tap moments. I don't know. I'm sure I could think of other, pratfalls and
Right.
mishaps. My pants ripped once, but that's, before I was a professional. They just split, and I wasn't wearing any underwear, so.
Because you're a professional.
That was interesting, yeah. So, that's happened to all of us.
Yeah.
It happened to me today.
That's not that unusual. I got one. I was playing, and there was a guy in town. Any of you guys ever heard of a guitar player named Randy Hinderling?
No.
No? Okay, so Randy was a local guy, Queens guy, really good guitar player. And he was like a Johnny Winter guy. I mean, he was really good, and Johnny Winter was his thing. And I didn't know him. and we were playing a gig, and we were playing a Johnny Winter song. We were playing All Tore Down from Still Alive and Well.
Mm-hmm.
And I broke a string, so now I'm on 5 strings. And then I look up, and Randy Hindling is standing like in the front of the crowd, just looking at me like this. And I'm like, oh great, like the Johnny Winter guy is here, and I'm on 5 strings, and then I broke another string. And and then I met Randy like years later, and he's a very nice person. But in that moment of when you're 20 years old and like the guy's there, like,
yeah,
and I'm like, it's hard enough to play the song with 6 strings, I got missing teeth up here. I don't know, drummers not showing up for gigs and snowstorms, and I don't know. There's a lot of those kind of stories.
Of course.
People stealing your food when you're on the road, and the other guys in the band eat your food.
Fuckers.
And you're like, who ate my food? And like, no one.
No one?
No one will admit it.
I said, like, who drank my vodka?
But that's bad. Yeah, that's actually really bad, because you're about to drive 300 miles to the next city, and you put your food aside so you can eat, because there won't be any food otherwise. And somebody eats your food, and you're like, great. I know, I'll have a Budweiser and some peanut M&Ms.
Well, I've lived on that.
That's not a good dinner.
No, but,
Take it from me. Because I know.
True. Roger Friedman's been on listening to us. He's sending in little comments.
Oh, really?
He said this is better than the Grammys.
Listening the whole time.
What did he say?
He said this is better than the Grammys.
Oh, I forgot the Grammys on. Yeah, that's some tough
I didn't know we had that sort of competition.
Yeah.
I know I'm not getting one this year again.
Should I do my Cardi B impersonation? I wouldn't know how to do that.
Which one is it does the WAP? Who is that?
That's her, right?
Is it?
Oh, I think that is her.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
Not that we know what that means. We're all too.
You don't either. I asked my kids. They were like, "What?"
All right, fellas.
Can you play that video for us right now on the closeout, Joey?
I certainly cannot.
Well, Andy, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Up on a few
Let
things.
me.
I got to get a Budweiser and some peanut M&Ms. I'm so hungry.
I'm thinking that.
Want someone eat your food?
Yeah.
The dog probably ate my food.
Yeah. Let's make sure that everybody knows where to find Andy's website.
Yes, AndyAledort.com is my wonderfully new built website.
If you're watching on YouTube, it's already in the link. If you're not watching YouTube, you're watching on Facebook. I will put it up in comments and
Thank you, Joey.
On there, yeah, I'll make sure it's there.
And please, actually just this morning made my Instagram like a business professional Instagram. Wow. Whatever that means. So people can email me and write me, and there's a little easier communication through my Instagram account, which all the videos are on. I have a lot of
I saw that.
A lot of IGTV videos up there too. I mean, this is fun. There are aspects of today's digital technology that aren't horrible.
Right.
Yeah.
Most of them are horrible, but some are not. And that part's pretty cool. That Richie Faulkner will be doing a live stream, and I'll just say, hey, if you guys know Richie Faulkner from
Been trying to get him on the show.
Judas
Priest.
Yeah.
He's a monster.
I can lean on him for you if you want.
Oh.
Kick his ass.
Would you please?
I love Richie.
Yeah.
Incredible guitarist.
Yeah.
He's a great guitar player, a very sweet guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, his interviews have been, just watching some of his stuff has just been great. He's a good interview. He can speak well and really talk about what he does.
Every one of his posts ends with RHRFDOTF.
What is that?
RHRFDOTF. Every post ends with that. Rock hard, ride free, die on the floor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't know what that meant either.
Yeah, that's like, wait a minute.
That's cool.
Funny guy.
Rock hard, ride free, and die on the floor. So, yes. So, people, I'm teaching a lot through Zoom and Skype if anybody's interested in that. And there's a lot of videos out there on my website and interviews. And like I say, got this new thing called Blog Jams. And so please, go to my website, comment, ask me for stuff. Like if there's something.
That's what I tell people too. I've seen people post. Someone posted. You did it was probably in 1989. You did one of the live versions of Hendrix in guitar for the professional or performing guitar. And someone posted, "Look what I found! I can't wait to work on this." And I chimed in. It was on one of the Gibson pages or something. And I said, "Why don't you just text Andy, and he will teach you this?" They're like, yeah. What? He will go through it with you. Just reach out. So. No,
that's very true. I mean, that's not a lie.
I tagged you. I don't know whether you saw it or not, so that they would really try and find you. But anyway. So last thing is people, subscribe to our page. Tomorrow we are doing the giveaway for the pedal, which we have here, which is the lovely Love Pedal Redhead. So if you guys haven't signed up, let's do it today, because tomorrow we're giving this away on the Ides of March.
Yep.
Joey's birthday. Happy birthday, everybody. Say to Joey.
All right, fellas.
Do that. Andy, a pleasure, man.
Wait, whose birthday? Whose birthday is when?
It was
Joey's.
Joey's.
It was Saturday.
And there's another birthday, or are we saying happy birthday
No,
to Joey?
That was just for me.
Yeah.
Fuck everybody else.
Oh, man. I mean, come on. How many, like the whole month? It's gonna be your birthday?
Well, it's making up. I have actually always gone off Facebook, and I used to bug the shit out of people. I would go off Facebook because I don't like,
And then I exposed it.
Yeah.
My birthday's not listed on Facebook, but at this point, I guess people know, so they'll say happy birthday. Usually. And then people, everybody says happy birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
mine's not listed either, but Lenny knows. And
don't you hate that? These people have a lot of nerve.
Yeah. Lenny
wishing you a happy birthday and stuff.
Yeah, right.
What kind of bullshit is that? So Jimmy Vaughn, we'll wrap up with this. Another Pisces. So we can keep it in the Pisces camp, Joey.
Okay, good.
Go ahead.
What sign are you guys, by the way?
Oh, Libra.
I'm Sagittarius because I am a crazy horse.
Well, you know what they say about Sagittarius?
I behind my back, probably not. But.
If you're at a party, the only person having a worse time than the Capricorn is the Sagittarius. Is that true? It's true. See? Libras, don't get me started on Libras. My father and my sister, both Libras. That's why I married a Taurus, because they're so easy to get along with.
I did too. See the
Pisces Taurus.
Pisces Taurus. There you guys go.
Do you have Linda Goodman's Love Signs? Do you have that book?
No, I don't.
There was a book that came out in like 1978 or 80 or something.
Oh, the compatible
Linda Goodman's
signs?
Love Signs. Yes, the compatibility of signs. Like male Pisces, female Taurus. Watch out.
Wow. Okay.
Joey knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But for gay relationships, Sagittarius and Libra, really pretty happening. I made that up.
We'll have to watch these two.
More wops.
I made that part up.
I don't know. It's on the internet.
No, but I was getting with this. So Jimmy Vaughn, we're wrapping it up. So, Jimmy Vaughn is a Pisces, March 20th. And so same thing when I realized he was a Pisces, I said to him on the phone one day, I said, hey, Jimmy, I realized, you're a Pisces. I'm a Pisces too. And he goes, oh, yeah, I'm on the cusp. He goes, on March 20th, I just made it. He goes, another few minutes, I would have been a real asshole. You can take that any way you like. Yes, exactly.
All right.
I got to go eat peanut M&Ms and have
Yeah. So for Musings, Rants, and Guitars, we'll sign off. Andy, just hang on for 1 minute so we
Thank
can
you, fellas.
Andy, thank you.
All right. Good night, people.